Jason Thomas, and I'm doing an informative speech about baseball fundamentals. Ernie Harwell once said, "Baseball is just a game, as simple as ball and bat, yet as complex as the American spirit it symbolizes. It's a sports business and sometimes even a religion." Back when I was in Ohio, when I was growing up, starting probably around 11 years old, I started playing baseball with my friends. I had a field next door to my house, which we used as a baseball diamond. We'd take rocks and we'd set them up first, second, third, and home plate. And we'd take a bat. We did have a baseball bat, not a broomstick, and we used a tennis ball. We had mitts at the time, and it was pretty fun. We had a great time doing it, but we didn't learn any fundamentals then. But we kind of picked up on some things. Growing up, I used to watch Darryl Strawberry, Nolan Ryan, people like that influenced the way I played. I played Little League Baseball when I was about 12, and we had a little farm league, and we had the worst field possible. The backstop was awful. Everything was just terrible, but we enjoyed it. And sometimes the people would mow the field when we played on, so outfield would kind of look like a big piece of crap. But anyways, just wanted to inform you on that. But again, watching those players kind of influenced the way we played. Anyways, after today, I would like you to know that stance, eye contact, and swing are the three fundamentals in baseball. Stance is a very important part of baseball. It's one of the key ingredients, of course. You want to make sure that when you're standing, you have like a very balanced stance. You want to be comfortable at the plate, have confidence, make sure that your weight is kind of slightly back on your hands near the strike zone, but you want to be like just above the strike zone when you go for your stance. If you are uncomfortable, like I'll just show you an example. With this bat here, it's not the best bat in the world, but anyways, if you say the plate's this basketball, you just want to make sure that when you're there, you want to very comfortable. You just kind of just bounce, just like when you're playing golf. You want to bounce on your legs, and you don't want to tighten up, because if you tighten up, then you won't get a good swing. And a pitcher will kind of know that if you're nervous on the plate, and when you tighten up, you don't get an easy flow. It's just very important. You want to be right next to the plate, kind of crowd the plate as much as possible, so it gives the pitcher less of a strike zone to really put in the ball. But so plate coverage is very important. Next, I want to go over is eye contact. Of course, eye contact is probably one of the most important things too. I mean, it's probably even more important than stance, because if you're not paying attention to the ball, then how are you going to hit it? When a pitcher stands, he hides the ball behind his glove so he doesn't show you the pitch. But there are some key things that you can find when a pitcher is throwing the ball. Make sure you concentrate on the ball when it comes right out of the pitcher's hands, because you can usually see how the threads are turning, just depending on how fast they throw the ball, because sometimes you can't really pick it up. But just make sure that you know a couple things in determining a pitch. If a pitcher's throwing the ball and he's overhand, like he's throwing it overhand, he's usually throwing a curve ball. If it's dead on, he's throwing a fastball straight out of the pitcher's hand. Just watch your arm position and make sure you just continue to watch the ball out of the pitcher's hands. There's a lot of pitches today that didn't used to be around. Growing up, they didn't have the knuckleball. I mean, they did, but nobody used it. It's pretty hard to hit some of those pitches. But a good idea would probably be going to a batting cage and just practicing on your fundamentals. I know you can't watch it come out of a machine, but it is important that you practice on your swing. Thirdly, I want to go over the swing. Swing is an important part of a fundamental. Make sure when you grip the bat, if you're a right-hander, you make sure that your hand is over top of your left hand. And you want to when the pitch comes, you want to turn your back foot towards the pitcher, and you want to bend your knee. You make sure that your right leg, it doesn't move at all. You want it to be stiff. And the reason I'm saying to put your right hand over your left is so that you don't use your hands, your arms to hit the ball. You want to use your hips. You want to turn your hips every time you go to swing, and you want to turn your forward foot towards where you want to hit the ball, because that really guides your swing and where your ball is going to be, depending on if you're late for a hit or if you're not. You know, if you're on time, then obviously it's going to go center field. When pivoting your back foot, you'll notice that your hips will open up. You're gonna turn your hips more when you're swinging like an inside pitch, because you're going to turn your hips because you're coming in at an angle that's coming in right here. You're going to have to use more of your hip action. If it's outside, you're not going to use your hips as much. So more than likely, you're going to get a good hit if it's coming into the middle part of the plate, not, you know, inside. But anyways, just pay attention to your swings. You want your natural wrist. Your hands, when you swing, your hand's going to come off the bat, but you don't want it to come off before. If you're left-handed, make sure your left hand's above your right. Basically, in conclusion, I just hope that talking to you today just gave you a little bit of knowledge of the game. I know it's not going to give you 100%. You got to be actually athletic to play baseball, and you got to know it. But there have been many great players in baseball. Ted Williams, just an interesting quote. Hitting is the most important part of the game, is where the big money is, and where much of the status and the fan interest is. So keep in mind that, and maybe you'll be a great baseball player one day.